It's now, and I want to watch.
Do you know every billionaire, every single billionaire, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, every single one has said AI is coming. It's coming for your jobs. There's nothing you can do about it. And your taxes are going to fund the whole thing. And half the country is like, goddamn, fucking Mexicans.
Comrades, welcome to the Sunday live stream. I'm your humble host Lefty. Hope you're having a good week. Thanks for choosing to see the week out with us here on stream on my left eye. Thank you very much. Idiosyncrasy, thank you very much as well for a gifted membership. First in the chat, that's an awesome way to kick off a stream. I do like it when that happens. This is 134 now. Nice stuff. So get comfy for a long fix and do smash the thumbs up button as you join us on stream. Let's big up Idiosyncrasy as well for that gifted membership. Thanks again. Darren Smith's with us, nice to see you. RMI 8. There's a Doc in the house. Nice to see you, Doc. Davinia's with us as well. Good evening, Davinia. Adam Gordon also joining us on stream. Davinia celebrating 21 months of membership. A legacy member. Indeed. Thanks a lot for all of your support and for sticking with us for those 21 months. It's always nice to see people celebrating month anniversaries. Adam, what's the little picture next to your avatar? It looks like someone stood in front of a tree from where I'm sitting. It's very small. Or is it a person? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Let's not get distracted. Yeah, I've already asked you to hit thumbs up, of course, and we'll in fact give a shout out to all the members while we're at it. With the latest fresh list, thank you very much for your support. Don't forget, if you're watching live or before the broadcast ends at least, that super chats are available as well as super stickers. But if you're watching back later on, there's also super thanks on the Buy Me a Coffee page. Please do consider those means of support. Thank you very much, wherever it comes from. The link for the Buy Me a Coffee page is in the description of any content on the channel. And also thanks for your comments and for sharing recent stuff. Hype points also really help. If you do enjoy watching content on a mobile device, hit thumbs up. It should prompt you to give some hype points depending which country you're watching from. We've got some Palestine flags and watermelons in the chat already, and some exclusive static emojis as well. It's always nice. Thanks for putting those on display. Davinia, you missed the lounge. Well, so do I. It was in fact the longest running feature on the channel, on any live stream in fact, not just the Sunday live stream. But we are working on a replacement, so that's all I can say. That's all I'm at liberty to say at the moment. There's definitely not a pistol to my head. And in other news, a glorious new tractor factory is opened in the new East Sector 1Z. Glorious. The quota must be met. Right, only joking. But what I'm not joking about, yes, is the replacements. We did a bit of a jokey, well, piss take at Top Gear, I guess it was, last week. Didn't get that together. I guess I'll just run through what's coming up myself, for lack of a lounge or other background setting. It won't be long. It's in the works. But we'll be looking at the aftermath of the Greater Manchester mayoral race, of course, some of the stats surrounding the voting, that sort of thing. Also, hot seats, Clacton, that seat just gets hotter and hotter, as in just 11 days' time, people. The polls open. And we, in fact, do have a survey, we have a poll to share with you, as well as the latest, because Bin Faces himself has put out another short promo video. We got that for you, and a few other bits and pieces. And speaking of things being in the works, there is going to be a part 2 to the well received Ultimate Count Bin Face Memes Gallery. We're just a few away from a sufficient amount to warrant a second part, so that should be good. That will come out at least a week before the election itself, so in the next few days. Hit the notification button is what I'm getting at, people, and then you won't miss out on any content on the channel. There have been some really good memes out there as well.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Oh, right, I see. Sorry, Adam, I was confused earlier. Totally misread the situation. I thought you were asking us to guess what's in your avatar, but you were talking about the other side of your name. Yes, it is, as rightly stated by Guitar Guy 80, Jeremy Corbyn. It's a member's badge. Depending on how long you've been a member, you get a different member's badge. Yeah, and it's Keir Hardy next to Guitar Guy 80s on the right of the name. It was the founding member of the Labour Party. Brackets RIP, not just to Keir Hardy. But the party itself, of course, Lino. The more you know, yes. You will always leave a My Left Eye live stream more knowledgeable than you entered it. Whether it's a Brews at 10 or a Sunday live stream. Because that's what we're all about. Entertainment, as well as being informative, and putting the truth to power. Hedy Lukiel just jumping in chat also. Solidarity, nice to see you, brother. Just part of our international audience as well. It's always excellent to have you here, wherever you're from. Grab a quick beverage here. I've got a small selection of beverages. Tonight's special guest in the studio is that fly that won't fuck off. As well as Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics, the background jazz quartet. Of course, with us every Sunday. They like their drinks on the rocks. That's this soothing song that you hear in the background. They're very well accustomed to playing it. Jacqueline, even, is with us also. How you doing? Thanks for jumping on stream.
Socialists. Oh my God.
I think I got so distracted there I didn't even say what else is coming up on the stream before we get into the opening comedy clip. We do have a bit of a look at the mainstream media as well. We've got Defend Our Juries, some more about the protest outside Westminister Magistrates courts, of course, multiple arrests. Again, we kind of touched on it on the last stream, but a bit more about that, as well as a statement that's been put out by the Met Police. Apparently, some common sense might just be getting through even to them. You might have seen a clip going around as well of a guy arrested for using a microphone. So we'll take a look at those bits and pieces, as well as one or two things happening in the United States as well. Plenty to go up. Oh, one thing I forgot to say as well earlier, of course, one of the perks of being a member, which does cost just 99 pence. That's about $1.05 if you're watching in the States. But yeah, just released some exclusive content. The latest episode of the Pat McFadden Experience, bit of a parody dig at a few MPs. Hope you enjoyed that one. That was on the last live stream. It was available for a while, but now it's very exclusive to members only. That's our way of telling you that we trimmed it out of the last live stream. So yeah, you have to be a member. Not certain when or if it will go public. In fact, we were considering making the playlist itself exclusive to members. Still playing around with that one. Joshua Modi, nice to see you in chat. Solidarity, thanks for being here this evening.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
So I'll go straight off with the comedy clip. This is a very good one. It's Sammy Obeid. I don't know if you are familiar with him. I think I've played one or two clips of his before on the channel. Great stand-up about things happening in the Middle East, what's happening between the US, Israel, Iran, and of course the ongoing occupation and genocide of Gaza. But highly recommend you check him out because Charlie Kirk actually comes up a lot in this bit that he's going to do here. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did. It's Sammy Obeid.
Iran made a video about Charlie Kirk. I didn't even know that was in their wheelhouse. It was literally a video. You have this Iranian general just sitting in a chair with his face blurred. He's speaking in English, which means it's to me, okay? But he has an Iranian accent. I know it's an Iranian accent because I lived in LA for 10 years. Like, let me tell you about a Charlie Kirk. I'm like, what do you got for me, General? And he's like, did you know Charlie Kirk was killed by your government? I was like, yes, I did know that. I did actually. He's like, well, while we were hacking Cash Patel for funsies, we got into your FBI's mainframe, no big deal. Apparently the password's Valhalla123. And we found documents that revealed that your government plotted the murder of Charlie Kirk, and it didn't go according to plan. What? Our government botched an assassination attempt? We would never. He says, well, did you know Charlie Kirk was not killed by a bullet. He was killed by an explosive device planted into his microphone that was clipped to his shirt. I know. Mind blown. Better choice of words? Sure. I'm sure a lot of people are asking, what? Who could even plant an explosive device in a small piece of technology and detonate it remotely? Who would do that? But it's a thing, and it is real. 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 And it's Israel. They did it with pagers in Lebanon. By the way, where did we get this? Trevor? Best Buy? What is it? Tel Aviv Tech? Okay. He said the device was supposed to explode downward into Charlie's chest cavity to make it seem like a clean gunshot wound to the chest. So we would all be like, oh my God, he was shot. They'd thumbs up the fake Tyler on the roof. Be like, good job, buddy. We'll see you in Valhalla. But it didn't go according to plan because the device misfired. Like, where have I heard that before? And a piece of shrapnel shot through Charlie's neck, and it came out to the place that we were supposed to see the bullet going in. Now, this was the part that he said that blew... Okay. This was the part, he said, that really opened my eyes. He said, because it misfired and because it exploded in all sorts of which ways, a bunch of pieces of shrapnel flew everywhere, and a lot of them went down and lodged themselves deep into the concrete where Charlie Kirk was speaking. And this is why, the next day, a bunch of people came to repave the entire area. So Charlie Kirk is shot, and the next morning, a bunch of random guys from God knows where in Israel come and start repaving the entire asphalt. Just like you could have chose a better time to do that. This is
God knows where in Israel.
literally the weirdest, most eerie part of the Charlie Kirk case, aside from Erica. It is the second strangest part about the case. Like, if you were watching a crime drama, like CSI Orem, and somebody gets shot, and then, like, moments later, like, oh, nothing to see here, we're just repaving the whole area, that would be like a 10-part series, where they're trying to figure out, like, who the are these contractors? And so then the Iranian general was like, and this is how you know that it was your government who killed Charlie Kirk. Like and subscribe to my page. Hit the bell. I was like, do you have Lego content? The Iranian intelligence, they understand the American mind because they know that Charlie Kirk is a very sensitive issue in the United States. They understand that even better than I did. Because after Charlie Kirk was shot, I honestly didn't even know that much about him. I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. But I still did a stand-up routine because that's what I do. I would do it to any of you. Don't take it personally. I posted it on YouTube, and YouTube took it down instantly. That's never happened to me in the history of my whole career. And you've seen some of the things I talk about. That's how many people flagged it, saying no, they were upset, they were very sensitive about it. I didn't know you can't make jokes the same day. All right, that was up on my part. I should have at least waited for the cement to dry.
Oh, he's touring as well. Yes, that was great stuff. I'm sorry, I'm only going to plug well, you can see the dates for yourselves there, but I will, of course, highlight that he is coming here to Manchester, yes, in just 16 days' time, in fact. Or is this, I'll have to check it out. It might be American format dates, or it might be, so he's either coming on the 10th, let's just see, hang on. No, yeah, that follows. It's American format. So that's going to be the 18th of this month in just 16 days. And also in Edinburgh the day after. He's in London on 2 dates, 15th to the 16th, and Birmingham on the 17th. You can see. Sorry, I did them in a bit of a strange order. So, world tour, apparently. I'm going to possibly check out where he's at, and I'll scroll up as well, just in case there's a few others there that you want to check out. Sammy Obeid there. Really enjoyed that one. Time to get serious, people.
This is actually very serious.
Well, because we seriously have just had a new mayor elected. Same party, different face, of course. Burnham, now in Downing Street, or number 10 North. So he's required a replacement, and Bev Craig, represents Labour, obviously, was the victor. Came through. On Friday, we did a live stream, actually. That was the last stream. But we're just going to take a look at how accurate the exit poll was relative to the actual result itself. Now, this exit poll provided by Stats for Lefties, we'll recommend you follow on your social media as well, predicted a Labour hold by quite a way, 41% to 22%, with the Greens in third with 15%. It actually turned out to be more favourable for Labour. This is the actual result itself, with them finishing on 47.1. It did go through to the second preference count, of course, because you give a first and a second preference. So, of course, unfortunately, Geraldine Coggins was ruled out in third. He went down to a two-horse race. Neither of them had met the 50% threshold, which triggered the second preference count, and it was pretty much a 2-1 victory for Labour, where that was concerned. But even though reform were kept out, they should certainly be getting kept out a lot more than they are. 2-1 is a good result. Anybody would take that as a winning margin any day in any type of election, obviously. But they did make the most gains with 13.5%, as you can see there. Labour are celebrating a victory, even though they've lost, according to this, 16.3% of the votes. Restore were actually the second biggest in terms of gains, so both far-right representatives, in fact, doing the best, and then the Green Party. This, of course, follows the continuing hypothesis that people are moving away from the so-called legacy parties, Tories and Lib Dem, down there as well. Now, if you put those two far-right votes together, the 21% of Reform and the 8.7% of Restore, you've got almost 30% of the vote there. That would be 29.7% of the vote, which again is pretty shocking, pretty scary. Yes, it wouldn't have got them in, but they certainly need to be well out of the race. They can't be in with a shout. And I have started off a bit pessimistically, I do acknowledge that. But there are some good things to garner from this, of course. The Greens have gained 5.3%, not as much as I'd hoped or aspired would come out of this, but a lot of this is down to the turnout. During Friday, so the count, basically, it's very different from sort of general elections or by-elections. They don't get straight on with the count come the stroke of 10 o'clock when polls usually finish. There was actually a bit of a wait, bit of a pause, and then it began at 9 o'clock on Friday. So as this was going on, it became clearer, it became more evident that it was a very low turnout, and it turned out that the turnout was just 25%, which does again give evidence to the fact that people are sick of the established parties, perhaps sick of politics and voting in general. Even though it just requires trotting up the street to put a cross or a tick in a box, or a couple of boxes, and that's it. You can go back to your day. A life of spiritual fulfillment, however you choose to play that out in the time that you have on this planet. It doesn't take much. Yes, of course, Coggins was who we backed. 25% is pathetic. You're right there, Idio. But what is stopping people from going out there and wanting to make a difference? If anything, people are continuing to complain ever more about how bad things are, but they don't really want to go out there and change that with the only sort of democratic rights that they have. Which is very counterintuitive. It means that a lot of them are out there saying, oh well, they're all the same, there's no point in going out and voting. That delivers a low turnout, which unfortunately, as is evident in this case, favours the far right or right wing parties. But like I said, there are some better points to look at, because we have a bit more of a granular sort of comprehensive breakdown of who voted for who and in which areas, which boroughs. There are 10 boroughs that went out and voted in the mayoral election. Let's see some of the peaks and troughs. We'll start with where Labour lost the vote the most. You can see in the left-hand column, it's pretty much colour coordinated, a green triangle and column representing a vote increase, and red downward arrow and column means a decrease. So it was actually in Salford where Labour lost the most, second only to Tameside, so they lost 21% in Salford, 20% in Tameside, which is to the east of Greater Manchester. Also worth noting there, a minus 19 in Wigan. You can see at the bottom. That's out towards the... In fact, it's at the very sort of western extremity of Greater Manchester, the boroughs of Greater Manchester. The -19 there, which, just jumping over to the gains quickly, appears to have directly gone towards Reform. Direct vote shift there, with Reform gaining 19. But also just back to Labour's losses, Labour's demise, other noteworthy mentions. -18 in Manchester, you can see there. That's within central and outskirts, of course. But -17 in Bolton as well. We did mention on the last stream there was an independent gain in council by-election in Bolton as well, which was a bit of a bizarre, rare result. So where did Reform pick up the most votes? Of course, they had the most gains. Oldham appears to be the strongest area, as well as Tyneside, where Labour again lost the most. You can see an almost direct sort of correlation between the vote shares there. Oldham and Rochdale tending to vote similarly, as you can see on this, with Reform gaining 18 there as well. But I don't want to focus on Reform gains for too long. Let's stick with some actual positive news, because the Greens did well. You can't say, well, every opportunity is an opportunity. They just didn't have enough momentum behind them to get there this time, of course. A lot of people as well were perhaps hoping for a shock result similar to what happened in Gorton and Denton. That's what we hoped. But it didn't turn out that way. However, in Manchester, that's where they did the best, with a gain of 14%. It's just that outside of Manchester itself, you can see, well, there isn't anywhere else where they managed to acquire double-digit gains, and that was pretty much why they didn't get into the second round of voting. 5 gifted we have in the chat. Thank you very much, Adam. Solidarity for that. 139 now. Come on, people. Let's get over that 200. Let's keep the hype going. Thank you very much. Hope all the recipients enjoy your perks. But what about this vote splitting, far right vote splitting Restore, who unfortunately seem to be doing better at each outing? They did actually make a few double-digit gains, plus 10% in Bolton, again, 12 in Oldham and 13 in Rochdale. As I said, what happens in Rochdale pretty much happens in Oldham as well. They're slap bang next to one another, towards the sort of northeast of Greater Manchester, and Tameside as well, again in the east. Tories, Lib Dems, others down marginal, fractional amounts. I'm not going to go over all those, but not a single gain for any of them. So that's a pretty, that is a very good graphic for spelling out what happened and what happened where. Thanks again to Stats for Lefties for sharing this one. Cool Cats with us in chat. Yeah, they are even further to the right than Restore. And yeah, Cool cats. Hope everything's going to be cool in chat. Rupert Lowe is again doing the same thing as Farage, the I'm one of you. I just couldn't believe, I think it was one of his promo videos. It literally began with, I'm just here on the farm, you know, like we've all got farms falling out of our pockets. And then he proceeded to spend the next few minutes telling the gullible audience how he represents them and he's just like them. And then when he's finished the video, he gets into one of his Land Rovers or Range Rovers and probably drives off to an expensive restaurant. But Jacqueline, yes, you're quite correct there as well. It can't be ignored just how many votes Labour lost. There is, of course, talk on a national level about the so-called burn and bounce. That didn't break through at a national level. It's still very temporary, whatever it is, like we said on the last stream. So the indifference towards Labour still continuing. Absolutely. And all for good reason. They've only themselves to blame. Because the quality has been poor.
Very poor indeed.
But I just want to point something out to you good people here. Something that didn't get past my left eye in the reporting of the mayoral results. We've got a quote from Bev Craig, the winner here, which I'm going to read out to you. But sometimes things are just too ironic to comprehend. And I'm going to explain why. So it's about, well, it's kind of following up, I guess, on something that Burnham said in one of his opening speeches, or both of them. Can't remember if it was the Manchester one or the Downing Street one. Whatever, they were both a load of pish. But Bev Craig has said that we must move away from divisive politics, and goes on to say life is hard for people of Manchester, and she'll try to make sure every decision she makes is aimed at putting more money into your pocket. Everyone deserves a quality home in a good neighbourhood that they're not going to build, by the way. She says, adding that people should be able to plan for their future and for their children's future. What makes Manchester so special, she says, is the people who do such incredible things, rejecting the politics of hate and looking out for each. She wraps up, I think that should say each other, I think. She wraps up by promising to work for everyone, whether they voted for her or not. We have to move away from divisive politics, and we'll do it together. So, we have to move away from divisive politics is the clarion call there in that message, as Bev Craig steps into Andy Burnham's shoes. Oh, he left Manchester in £1 billion of debt, by the way, before he fucked off. I just wanted to also highlight that statistic. Well, let's talk about divisiveness then, shall we? Bev, Andy. Because without a hint of irony whatsoever, I guarantee you this was a thing. Have to show it in two separate parts, otherwise you won't be able to read the quotes. But on the live feed, this this post that you can see right now was directly below this one. I shit you not, it was directly below this one. New mayor to be involved in number 10 North. So despite saying that he's going to be moving away from divisive politics, of course, the first thing Andy Burnham did was split the sort of role or administration, whatever you might want to call it, of Downing Street in half, in two, clearly dividing it and saying, well, this is for us northerners, this is for you in the south. That's more or less as binary, as divisive as it gets, really, isn't it? Not going to be divisive, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time in this special club, which has recently been divided away from where it normally is. And it definitely isn't just because Andy Burnham doesn't want the, what would it be, maybe 2.5 hour commute to get, if you can catch right train without delays, I guess. So I've had to zip down to Parliament at short notice in the past. So, not divisive. Into this new, literally split into elements. We're not divisive. This office is for people from the north. Fuck off anyone who lives sort of south of Stoke. Let's say the A50 or 500. Sorry. So that's pretty much it on the aftermath of the mayoral race. That was, of course, a former hot seat, but we do still have one active one that's gripped the nation, not just the nation, in fact, but the wider world, of course. The Clacton by-election. I've got some really good stuff to look at here, including Binface's latest promo bit and an excellent bit from Led by Donkeys, who decided to join the campaign, going around in one of the famous video vans and highlighting a few uncomfortable truths for Nigel Farage and Reform. So let's see what's happening. It's go Binface in Clacton.
Today I will resign as a Member of Parliament for Clacton-On-Sea, thereby forcing a by-election.
We got one!
Oh, can lightning strike twice? That's the question that Count Binface himself has posed today in this new promotional video. If you've not managed to catch this one just yet, here it is for your consideration.
A question I get asked a lot is, can I actually win? And I've got an answer to that, because I've done my Earth history reading. Yes, not the Odyssey, that was bullshit. No, I'm talking about Martin Bell, an accidental MP. Yes, almost 30 years ago, a former BBC journalist, a very esteemed one, decided he would take on the sleaze-riddled Conservative MP, Neil Hamilton.
He did, and he won. He was known as the man in the white suit, I believe. Yeah, if you study British political history, this would not be without precedent. Neil Hamilton was, your typical Conservative POS. I guess there was a lot of scandal surrounding him and indeed his wife as well, which I won't get into. The historic drama about that. But it means that people can stand and not really think that they're in with a chance, but come out on top. Can this happen in Clacton? It can.
In an election. And you know what? Against all the odds, the other party stood down and he only went and blooming won. So it can be done. I've been doing my reading. Yes, Martin. I think it's all in here.
Tin can be done.
Why can't I win? That's right. There is a precedent. He's not an alien, as far as I know, but he is a blooming good bloke. And I think, together, Clacton, we can make lightning strike twice. Yes, vote Binface.
Do vote Binface, people of Clacton. Please, please. We implore you. And I do remember another historic example. Sorry, I'm delving deep into my sort of memory here, where study of politics and sociology is concerned. But there was once there was a party, I think it was, or an independent, who stood against, again, another Tory MP, probably around a similar time to the Neil Hamilton election, called Anyone But Mellor, because David Mellor was again embroiled in scandal, was shown to have had affairs, extramarital affairs, this kind of thing. Cash for Questions was also a big thing going around at the same time. I'm not sure if there was any involvement with that, but this is the kind of politics that was going on at the time. But let's make, another victory for someone like Martin in Clacton. Good stuff. Sorry. Struggling to get my words out there. Always good stuff from Binface. Really hope there's going to be a live debate as well. Bilderberg, hope you're well. Thanks for jumping into the chat. Nice to see you as always. So this is fresh out, I think. Or whether it's new or not, it's definitely worth a look. Led by Donkeys have been to Clacton with one of the video vans. Let's see what they've got to say about Nigel Farage to the people of Clacton.
My name is Susan and I live here in Clacton. Nigel Farage is my local MP.
I'm thoroughly enjoying the job.
We all pay him £94,000 a year to represent this town, but honestly, he's hardly ever here. So what is he doing with his time? Well, take a look at Parliament's Register of Members' Interest. It turns out Farage has 12 other jobs on top of being our MP. 12. Job number 1. He works for a company called Direct Bullion, a gold coin dealership based in Mayfair. Here he is shilling for them.
I've decided this is the right company to be with.
They paid Farage £280,000 since he became my MP last year. That's more than the cost of an average house in Clacton. Job number 2. Farage also works for a company called Nomad Capitalists. They advise multi-millionaires on how to avoid tax by getting second and third passports from foreign countries, and they urge people to leave the UK so they don't have to pay their taxes here. The same taxes that are needed to pay for the UK's public services like healthcare, education, welfare and pensions, not to mention local services like transport, waste collection, public order and safety. Since Farage became an MP, Nomad Capitalists has paid him £40,000. Job number 3. Farage works for an American outfit, AZ Liberty Network. He flew to their conference in Arizona to speak at a meeting of extreme faith groups and anti-abortion activists. They paid him £13,000. Another American company based in Tennessee paid him £7,400 to give a speech. And another, based in Alaska, paid him £26,000, again, to make a speech. He's also a commentator for Sky News, not the one we watch here.
Nigel, lovely to see you, mate.
Farage works for Sky News Australia. Not sure what that's got to do with Clacton. They pay him £25,000 a year. Meanwhile, the front desk of the police station behind me closed this summer, our street lights are switched off at night, and our bus services are woefully inadequate. It'd be nice if Farage pulled his finger out and did something about that. Jobs 7, 8, 9. Farage has made tens of thousands of pounds posting to Google, Facebook and Elon Musk's X platform.
Yeah, pretty big chunk of change there, going Nigel Farage's way. And from some very, shall we say, spurious sources. Well done, led by donkeys. That was very good. He gets all of that, he tells people that he can't be bought, and then he still finds the time to do those Vimeo tribute videos for 80 quid a pop as well. Can't be bought. But let's see if that kind of information is trickling down to the people of Clacton. The Canary have been down there again. They've done some excellent bits lately, despite the establishment pushback, of course. Recently, they had some pushback with not being allowed access to their bank accounts and things like this, based on, well, whether they've been telling the truth. So shout out to the Canary for staying strong, showing resilience, and they've done some vox pops in Clacton. Let's see what's happening.
I've got no time for the guy. He says he's for the people and the workers in Clacton. Have a walk around Clacton town centre. How many empty shops are there?
You're saying he's not really invested in this place?
Well, no. I mean, if he was going to invest in it, why didn't he invest some of that £5 million he got from the crypto bloke? Yeah, shove that in. That'll help out.
He's arrogant. I'm sorry, he's arrogant. The way he's resigned and recalled an election thinking people will not take notice of his misdeeds. Not good.
We don't see any evidence of change here. People voted for him, but what's he actually done? He's using Clacton as a political pawn for his own purposes. I'm just surprised that more people aren't seeing that.
A lot of people here in Clacton are desperate, having trouble paying for their bills, having trouble paying for housing. What people like him like to see is working class people blaming each other. Our society is becoming increasingly divided between rich and poor, not between black and white. We need to turn the attention to that, don't we?
He says, oh, we'll let the people decide. But the people already decided that in the previous election, during Wimbledon. I said, we want to have a word with Farage, because he has more backhanders than the people at Wimbledon. At least that's over in 2 weeks.
The rich get richer, poor get poorer, and ultimately, as we see through history, there has to be someone to blame. Unfortunately, nobody seems to be taxing the rich enough. They are reverting to blaming other groups.
People that want power to the extent that he is showing are normally the very people that should not have power, not anywhere near it.
There's a lot of billionaires piling in to support the far right at the moment, especially people involved in things like crypto. I'd say they know where their class interests lie.
A party that has its sole policy based upon division and migration is not the way to address it.
Asylum seekers that come to this country, if they're in a hotel, they receive £8 a week. The rest of the money that is spent on asylum seekers actually goes to free core companies. They are actually earning billions through contracts with the government. It's not the asylum seekers, it's the big business billionaires.
Clacton is not a multiculturally diverse compared to other constituencies. So I think he's feeding on a fear that Clacton may become more diverse. Yeah. It's fear. Yeah. It's fear.
Well, let's hope that hope defeats fear on this occasion. Some really sound vox pops there. It's good to actually see some well-informed people on vox pops, which you don't really get from the mainstream media, as we've seen recently, like that absolute fool that we Had a laugh at on the last live stream. My goodness. Do you remember the guy? He thought that 85% of Muslims were illiterate and all this other stuff. He just didn't have a grasp on reality or facts whatsoever. Quite embarrassing. However, people, brace yourselves. We finally have a poll. We have a poll for Clacton. With 11 days to go. So will this perhaps indicate whether Binface is really in with a shout or not? Well, without further ado, here it is. And it doesn't look too bad. It is certainly within the realms of possibility, according to this Survation poll. 58% to Farage, 42% to Binface. So an 8% swing is all that will be required. Now, they've broken this down into which of the voters from the parties that have dropped out would, vote for which candidate. And it is within this breakdown that I think things perhaps look even more encouraging for Binface, because there's one or two in here that I really refuse to believe. So overall, 58 to 42, as I said, amongst Labour voters, 38% would vote for Farage, 62 Binface. I think even for Labour voters, even for anyone who is still gullible enough to vote for Labour, 38%? Really? I think that figure for Farage should be much lower, just 62 for Binface. I could see 74% of Tory voters preferring Farage over Binface, as it says there. Apparently, Binface is going to claw 6% of Farage voters away from people who voted for him in 2024. 27% of Lib Dem voters apparently would prefer Farage over Binface, which again I think is not so accurate. 27% of Lib Dem voters, really? That many? You'd think that, it'd be starting to get down to the low tens, perhaps even single digit figures at this point. But no, apparently 27% would prefer Binface. Tisk. Lib Dem voters, if even more tisk. But that goes to show, doesn't it, when it comes to the crunch. When it comes to the crunch, with the Liberals, the real Liberals, as they are on the right here in the UK. Tisk. But Green voters as well. Do not tell me, within this universe that we occupy, within a month of Sundays, that 33% of people who voted Green in 2024 in Clacton would now vote for Nigel Farage. Piss off. That's even more than Lib Dem. And just 67% would vote for Binface. No, that'd definitely be in the high 80s, 90s for Binface. Certainly. Come on, Savage. I mean, no. No. Do you buy that? I really don't buy that. So bearing that in mind, that would be realistically even more favourable for Binface. Would it be sufficient to get the 8% swing required? Could get close. There'll be quite a lot of abstentions, yeah, correct, Idio. National Front, yeah. No, that's just a coincidence, Davinia, that Nigel Farage has the same initials as the National Front do. What do you make of this? I think there's another one out there that says it's going to be about 31.69 to Farage. I think this one is a bit more realistic, even though I think it certainly understates how many Green voters would vote for Binface over Farage. That's got to be, again, excuse me, in the 80s, 90s percentile. Surely. Let's have another cold beverage. What do you make of that? Yeah, Darren, you share those sentiments amongst... this is compared to how they voted in 2024, in case that wasn't clear enough as we went through that. So you live in Clacton, you voted Green, and now you're gonna... and now 33% of those are gonna vote for Nigel Farage? Piss off. I don't buy that. I ain't fucking buying that. So that's even better news for Binface as far as I'm concerned. He can do it. Was a man in a white suit once, why can't it be a man in a tin can hat this time? Is he inevitable? Let's hope so. We'll keep you up to speed as we edge ever closer, just 11 days now to that crucial by-election in Clacton that could see off Farage once and for all. Make it so.
We got one!
Okay!
Too loud. The neighbours have been complaining. You just watch your steps, Sonny.
Bloody Babylon ruining the party as always. Well, we'll come on to more of that from the Met in a short while, but we'll sort of build up to that first to see what the people I'm referring to ultimately protesting against, and that is of course the UK's complicity in the occupation and genocide of Palestine. Viva Viva Palestina. Now I'm just going to more or less play this through in its entirety, maybe with one or two interruptions just to emphasise on certain facts, but it's an excellent piece from some excellent alternative media. Declassified UK is who we're going to be looking at next, and they're asking local residents if they in fact even know that they live within a very short distance of these arms manufacturing plants. That, guess what, people? They don't have arms manufacturing plants emblazoned all over the side of them. Missiles are us. No. course, this is all done behind closed doors. A lot of the people who live there don't even know it's going on. But Declassified UK do know what's going on in those factories, and they've been out spreading the word and telling the truth to, frankly, a shocked local population who don't want to basically reside right next to factories that provide death showers. Let's see what's happening.
This arms factory behind me has stood on the banks of the River Tyne for nearly 2 centuries. But 4 years ago, it was taken over by the Israeli state. So I've come to Newcastle to investigate how people living here feel about their factory falling into the hands of a foreign country whose leaders are wanted for war crimes.
Now it's been bought by the Israeli state.
Was it really?
It's shocking. It should be run by locals, you know.
Even if that factory made teddy bears and candy floss, it's still going in to the coffer of a genocidal state.
To find out more about this factory, my colleague and local resident, Laura Pidcock, is taking me on a tour around its perimeter.
So we're here outside Armstrong Works on the banks of the River Tyne. It's a massive industrial unit. And on the sign up there it says home of Pearson Engineering, Responsive Engineering, and then they've got the Union Jack. It's behind you as well. What's really going on here?
Well, it is interesting because this signage really projects something that has been lost, which is that there is British-owned industry here, if you like. Now, this is a huge site of industrial importance for, yes, the banks of the Tyne, but Britain. Over 175 years has been industry here, and it isn't British now. It's owned by the Israeli state, acquired in 2022. I think this factory is a perfect symbol of industrial decline in Britain, and also the selling off of assets, if you like. Now, it's not true that this is British owned. That Union Jack is a false flag, if you like.
Because Pearson have said on their website that nothing made here is sent to Israel for use by the IDF. But that hasn't satisfied campaigners. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's a sham of an argument, really, isn't it? If during the apartheid in South Africa there was a South African state-owned factory on the banks of the River Tyne, it would have been a really superficial argument to say, oh, actually pay no attention to this in that time of activism and struggle for liberation there. This is a site of interest because any profits derived from this site are going back to the Israeli government. It's a very, very simple argument. We don't have to be convoluted about this. It doesn't have to be a difficult set of conversations, but to say Israel committing genocide owns this factory. There is a clear link to Israel, to the banks of the River Tyne there.
While Pearson denies making any equipment for the IDF, some of the weapons manufactured in Newcastle are based on designs that Israel has battle-tested on Palestinians. Take Raphael's advanced gun turret, the Samson, which is standard on Israel's Neymar armoured vehicles. These were widely used in Gaza. Here they are in central Gaza in 2023. Pearson is making a modified version of this turret for NATO troops. Pearson's technology is also being used in drones sold by Skydio, an American company which has sent drones to the IDF. Pearson says Skydio's shipments didn't include any drones with their technology inside.
But what do people in Newcastle know about this historic factory and how it has been repurposed to make weapons for Israel? Phil and I went to the Granger Market in the city centre to find out. Do you know anything about the Armstrong Works site on Scotswood Road?
Oh, it used to be Vickers.
Yeah, do you remember the Vickers site?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I know the Armstrong Works because my mother used to work there as a child.
Really?
It's got to be 70 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that Armstrong Works back then was like a positive place for the region?
It was, it was very important in them days. It was the full length of Scotswood Road.
Do you remember Vickers though? The
Vickers Armstrong?
Yes, Vickers Armstrong. That's the factory we're talking about.
She's talking about Vickers Armstrong.
It's Vickers Armstrong.
My husband started his apprenticeship when he at Vickers Armstrong.
No way.
Yeah. And if you got an apprenticeship at Vickers Armstrong's, it was something good
Really
to have,
good, yeah.
you know.
And it was crucial, like in the war effort, wasn't it? It produced a lot. And it employed a lot of people.
During the war, they used to follow the train up to try and bomb Vickers Armstrong's.
This footage shows workers queuing up to enter Armstrong Works in 1900, but the factory has been there for 180 years, a central part of the 19th century shipbuilding boom in Britain. The factory, then called Armstrong Whitworth, became the largest weapons producer in the world during World War I. As well as producing tanks and heavy artillery during World War II, the factory owners even had this bomber aircraft, the Armstrong Whitworth Whitley, named after them. Around this time, a quarter of the local population were employed.
I'm a bit of a stickler for old footage of industrial factories, places where huge amounts of people worked, as you can see in the shot there, you know, the conditions that they were in, as well as much as I'm fascinated by, of course, how industry in Britain transformed as a consequence of the Second World War as well. But pre-warfare, this like really, really early 20th century footage here, speaks a lot for working conditions. These are the people on your screen who fought for the very rights that we perhaps take for granted nowadays. Certainly, recently in Greater Manchester, we could have gotten out and voted for them a bit more than we did. But I really enjoy this sort of nostalgic video stuff. Really, always do.
Yeah, over 60,000 people. Everyone I've spoken to at the market seems to know someone that worked at the factory. So what do they think? Now it's in the hands of Israel. In 2022, it was bought by the Israeli state.
Was it really?
It was.
Never.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody worked at Vickers Armstrong.
Yeah.
You're fucking joking, man. Well, it's shocking. They have the British flag up there, like they said earlier. They don't have the Israeli flag, and they certainly don't broadcast what they're making inside.
What do you think about it being bought by Israel then?
Why?
Why? Yeah.
Why?
They're
all
horrified.
our traditions and all our things are gone.
Everything. We are 90, both of them are 90s.
Wow.
You know?
Yes.
So, we have
That's
seen it.
There's a very, very massive sense of irony amongst this as well, of course. It formerly being used to manufacture weapons to fight oppression, to fight fascism directly, and now it is being used to make weapons for warmongering fascists, the industrial military complex, and more specifically Israeli Zionism. Complete insult, I guess, to all of those workers from the early 1900s.
We've seen it all, and now everybody's coming from abroad and buying places in England, you know.
Like the Israeli state has bought this factory.
Yes.
And we're just wondering what locals think about that factory now being owned by Israel.
It should be run by locals, you know, or the British, you know.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen much about what's happened in Gaza over the last 2 years.
Obviously.
Have you?
Yeah, it's shocking.
So I wonder how you think, or what you think other Geordies, other Northerners would feel about that factory now being owned by the Israeli state.
Well, it doesn't sit well, does it?
Honestly. Thank you for stopping.
No problem.
Yeah.
Nice one for the flags in chat. Can we have a bit more of that, please, people? Flags and watermelons are always welcome. In chat, what's the next bit? We're going to go all the way through this. It's an excellent report from Declassified. I'll put a link in the description, by the way, if you want to check out more.
Excuse me.
Sorry for interrupting this video, but investigative journalism like this is only possible with your support. You can help us reach 5,000 donors by clicking on the link below or the icon at the top of the screen. Now back to the video.
Sorry, that's not on the video, but you can get to the links via the links that we've got in the description of this video. Slightly convoluted.
In 2022, the factories at Armstrong Works were bought by Raphael, an arms company effectively controlled by this man, Bezalel Smotrich, the Israeli finance minister.
Ooh, God, we're talking about one of the biggest pieces of shits in the fucking world, you know, that are currently stealing oxygen as we speak. Smotrich, bloody hell.
Last year,
he is your grade A nutter, alongside, you know, the likes of Ben Gvir, Netanyahu himself, Mr. Milikowski, should say. And you can see in the facial expressions and everything just how psychotically distant from reality they are. These people are the worst of the worst.
Classified exposed how Pearson was awarded a £10 million contract by Britain's Ministry of Defence even after Smotrich was put on sanctions by the UK government. Companies House documents show that Pearson is still owned by a department of Israel's finance ministry, which is controlled by Smotrich. Back at the factory, we met with British Palestinian activist Jason Hussein.
So Jason, where are we now?
We are across the river from Raphael, aka Pearson Engineering. It's an Israeli state-owned factory, the only one in the UK, and you can see how big it is.
Yeah, it's a massive site, isn't it? And you've actually got family from Palestine?
Yeah, so my dad's from the West Bank, from Hawara, which is next to Nablus, and that is has been subject to repeated pogrom, and he now lives in Jordan, so he was displaced in '67.
Yes, or, you know, settlements, as the BBC would describe it, but they are pogroms. It's illegal occupation, is what it is. More about the misreporting of that to come further downstream, but it really is appalling that these sort of facilities are allowed to sit there right off the banks of the River Tyne.
And Pearson say nothing made at this factory is actually supplied to the IDF, but it's owned by Raphael, who do make stuff for the IDF.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do Raphael make?
We know that spike missiles have been made that killed the world's central kitchen health workers in Gaza. But they also do, some of the equipment made in there, or the components at least, or the way they advertise it is to help with crowd control, bulldozing, things like that, house demolitions. My argument has always been, even if that factory made teddy bears and candy floss, it's still going into the coffer of a genocidal state.
Did you ever think, as someone who's half Palestinian living in Newcastle, that you'd end up with an Israeli-owned arms factory just up the river?
No, not at all, and it's really hard.
That is literally the last thing that you want in your community. Whether you have Palestinian relatives or not.
When, you know, Palestinians are being subjugated, murdered, genocided, raped, tortured, because you feel quite helpless. And then this is on your doorstep.
It's like they're trying to rub it in your face.
Tangible you can do. One of my core aims in my spare time is to bring as much attention and focus to that abomination as I can possibly.
Pro-Palestine activists have held nearly weekly protests at this factory since 2023, with protesters blocking goods from leaving the site and even breaking in and climbing on the roof.
This is how you have to get it done if you're not represented by the people who claim to represent you. Non-violent direct action is the only way that you can get it done. Believe me, I've done a fair bit of it myself.
I mean, this obviously is the main entrance way.
I've not been involved with these particular protests. I should cite, of course.
To the plant here. So this is where all of the vehicles bringing in goods and taking finished products away, come in, and where all the workers come in as well.
And is this where, from looking at the videos, this is where the protests take place?
Yeah, I mean this area here. So I understand this is where the blockade. This is where the blockade takes place. This is the entranceway here. So people will stand blocking.
There's so much barbed wire around here. But as some people have got up onto the roof of...
Because you see, they're there breaking international law. They don't want people showing up to protest that. They certainly don't want responsible citizens stopping their country from breaking international law, as has happened at many Elbit sites. Of course, a lot of that has been in the press lately. I can only reiterate that that's the only way that you can put a stop to it.
What, that little security box? Or
it was amazing. This was in January, February last year. Three young women did an action. They climbed up onto the roof here, occupied the roof, if you like, for about 4 or 5 hours. Did some decoration on the signage there, and basically disrupted the plant for at least half a day. They were found guilty of criminal damage earlier on last month, and are due to be sentenced at the end of April. But yeah, they took very courageous action, and again, it's drawing attention to what was actually happening here.
Of course, we've been following everything that happens with Pal Action, the Defend Our Juries protests as well. I'm very proud to be a supporter of Defend Our Juries. Just before we go on to this next part, a couple of comments in the chat as well. Yeah, if the factory was manufacturing teddy bears, as Darren's saying here, they would be of the exploding variety. They make teddy bears and pages, and as Jacqueline rightly points out, the timing of the purchase in 2022 could also insinuate that they would need it, that there'd be some sort of requirement for it, almost as if they were expecting something. Yeah, quite right there, Jacqueline. Timing also being particularly convenient.
The 3 activists were sentenced at Newcastle Magistrates Court in May. Although they were spared jail, they were ordered to do unpaid community work.
When you compare that to some of the sentencing, in fact record sentencing put upon Pal Action protesters as well, you could say that, you know, they'd take that. I know for a fact that people who get involved with these kind of protests and demonstrations, arms manufacturers certainly know what they're in for, potentially legally. They know that they are likely to be charged with criminal damage. But now that we're in this dystopian realm that Yvette Cooper and Shabana Mahmood have put us into, relative to those kind of sentences, yeah, community services, fines, these kind of things. I don't want to use the term let off, but you'd certainly sacrifice that to stop your nation carrying out what it is doing at the moment. And these people are on the right side of history. That can be said as well.
The state is still protecting the factory through policing. Last year, Declassified found that £20,000 of public money had been used to police protesters at the factory.
Police response has been disproportionate on all occasions. Sometimes you might only have 7 or 8 protesters here, and you'll have 6 or 7 police vehicles, 15 police officers. And at times the police have been quite aggressive in their tactics in terms of pushing people. The police working together with the security officers here and allowing a security officer to physically assault one of the protesters on one occasion. But they're hoping, I think, that by a massive display of force, occasionally being quite aggressive in their use of force, that they're hoping to intimidate people, but it's having the opposite effect.
Despite the police's heavy-handedness, activists are still holding regular blockades at the factory. But not everyone in Newcastle feels so free to speak out. We visited the city in the wake of some high-profile attacks on Green Party leaders at Polanski by Keir Starmer and Met Police Chief Mark Rowley, ahead of the local elections. Both effectively accused the Green Party of being anti-Semitic.
Yeah. And what a load of bullshit that was. And they're still doing it now.
This message appears to have had a chilling effect on many of the young professionals who we met in the market.
I don't know if you could guess which foreign state acquired that factory.
Oh, I don't fancy going there at the moment.
No,
I'm not going to touch upon that.
Okay, well it was Israel, yeah.
That was going to be my second guess, after America.
Okay, America and then Israel.
Right, all the best, see you later, right? You take care.
You're away.
Lovely to see you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'm going to step back for it and not give any further comment if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you just feel uncomfortable?
A little bit,
yeah.
I don't think I want to get into this territory, to be
Do you
perfectly
not?
honest. No, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's absolutely fine.
Sorry, yeah.
Is it just a bit uncomfortable?
Just with our profession.
You don't want to get into this occupied territory.
Profession that we do, we'll end up saying something like...
And we just wondered what local people think about that, really. No. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Have a good day.
Really? Come on.
So Laura, we're here inside this incredible Granger market in Newcastle city centre. I was watching you doing those vox pops and talking to people in Newcastle, and particularly the older voters. I say voters because this is just after the local elections happened yesterday, and Newcastle was a Labour stronghold and a lot of it has gone to Reform. How did you feel that context was kind of playing out in the conversations you were trying to have with them about this factory being sold off, not just to Israel, but to a foreign power?
I think there's definitely a sense in this region. I mean, we heard it in the vox pops that things have changed, things have gone, things have been lost from the region. And that is certainly felt through ownership of resources being sold off and dissatisfaction at that. And I think that is quite a powerful message for Reform to tap into, to say, you know, things have changed, that your cities don't look like they used to anymore. Of course, there then isn't the explanation beneath that about why resources have been sold off, fundamentally why they've been privatised.
Because America and neoliberalism.
And then what I noticed was that there was a nervousness as soon as we talked about Israel. As soon as we mentioned it was an Israeli state-owned factory now, there was a nervousness about that.
Yeah.
Some were really shocked and taken aback and dissatisfied that why should a foreign state own a factory that's sat in that location for over 175 years, is now owned by a foreign state. And then I think some people really actually nervous to talk about Israel at all. And we could interpret that in a couple of ways, couldn't we? Either supportive of Israel, but I think on reflection, some of it is about a nervousness to be talking about Israel at all, or to be associated with what they've done over the last 2 years.
And also that they might, of course, falsely be accused of that bullshit anti-Semitism if they dared to criticise Israel or the Israeli factory.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Laura. It's been really interesting to get out of London, come to the northeast, an area which doesn't get nearly as much media coverage, and find out what's happening here in the local economy and how it connects to global conflicts that we're seeing and global changes to the economy as well. Thanks for watching this video. Independent investigative journalism like this takes time and resources. So if you're able to make a small monthly donation to Declassified by becoming a member, please go to declassifieduk.org/join. See you on the next video.
Awesome reporting. Yeah, do check out the site. Great stuff from Declassified and Laura Pidcock there. I bumped into Laura once or twice at protests here in Manchester. And I was in fact completely unaware of that facility myself until I came across the report. Which isn't particularly shocking, seeing as a lot of the local residents don't even know about it. And of course, as you saw in that clip, many organisations protest against this thing. I mentioned Pal Action, of course, their prescription, and now onto the organisation who protest against that prescription, Defend Our Juries, who were outside Westminster Magistrates courts this week. It's been a kind of bittersweet week. Of course, we also heard some positive news that one of the co-founders of Pal Action has won the right to challenge the prescription at the Supreme Court. However, the continued arrests of the Defend Our Juries protesters, particularly senior citizens, is continuing to shock the nation. But it gets even worse. We discussed on the last stream how one person was arrested simply for clapping, and now we've got this example which you might have seen round about your social medias, but if not, I'll present to you this example where someone is arrested for simply using a microphone. An Australian protester who claims to have these bit of a karaoke buff, apparently, says he's got the second best karaoke collection in the world, as he does make light of his arrest as it happens. So well done to this guy. And it's another example of the ludicrous policing that's happening throughout this whole situation. Let's see what's happening.
Using your microphone, you are more likely to be arrested under the Terrorism Act. To go back to my point though,
Hope all you musicians out there are following along. This lady just said that the use of a microphone makes it more likely that you could be committing terrorism.
About the history of why we're here.
Oh no, all bingo halls this Friday, shut them down.
What about bingo callers? They're going to be shutting down the bingo halls now, yeah. The brown shirts are going to be marching into the bingo halls all of a sudden now, are they? And it's not even that loud. I think in the bits that he's got the phone pointed towards his own face, you can hear his speech coming out of his own mouth louder than the microphone. It's purely intimidatory. But that's pretty good. What about the bingo halls? Shut them down. There's more.
Start up a petition.
Karaoke is out in the UK.
Karaoke.
God damn it, that was my small business back in New Zealand. I was a karaoke jockey. I was hoping to bring it here.
Apologies, he's from New Zealand, not Australia, as I said earlier. Yeah, what's he going to do with his karaoke business now? The microphones are banned.
They've just squashed this lady, just squashed that.
Honestly, guys, think about what
You're all going to miss out. I have the second best karaoke collection in the world.
Why are you arresting him? What do you say? What did you say?
I'm arrested 1303.
And then they arrested him. Wow, come on. It's unreal, unbelievable. Yeah. He's a microphonist. Shocking. As I said, I'm proud to be a supporter of Defend Our Juries myself. As I like to emphasise, I have already been arrested for all of my demonstrations and been through all of the procedures. Just in case. But yeah, I wasn't at this Westminister protest myself, of course, but here's another excellent example of resilience that I'm proud to share with you. And it's from somebody who was arrested, went to custody, was eventually released, and then literally went straight back to the courts to give some excellent testimony here, and they're still wearing their custody issued T-shirts. I've got I've got a collection myself here, and as soon as they were released, they went and gave this excellent testimony, which, yeah, it's brilliant. How's about that? Now, that's what I call protesting, people.
Back now because I do not support this genocide. I support Palestine action. I'm here for Mira and Hamoud, who live in Gaza and who I support, and I hear every day about their bombing, drones. Khaled was killed by Israeli bombs when he was sheltering in Al-Shifa hospital with his family.
My God, that is awful. And there are so many, unfortunately, thousands of examples of this as well. When you see pictures and you can look into the faces of these people, especially the children that have been killed in Gaza, it really does get to you just how disgusting and appalling these crimes are.
Have it endlessly. It's a genocide. Everybody needs to do whatever they can to raise their voice against a genocide.
You've already been arrested once today?
Once today, yes. I'm back for more.
Yes, sister, yes.
You were in court this morning, were you?
Yes.
And what happened with that?
Well, obviously our justice system cannot cope with the number of people who are saying no to genocide.
It's in the thousands now. It's over 3,000 people who've been arrested at Defend Our Juries. Many protesters have been arrested multiple times. Several of my friends and fellow co-protesters have as well. And I can only re-emphasise the strength and the resilience to resist in that fashion as well. Just on to a couple of the things that have been coming into chat. Marsh, you've currently there's currently an event at a large venue that you can hear from your house. Should you call 999 to report terrorism? Well, perhaps the Home Secretary might say that you should. Are you going to grass them up for using a microphone? Dobber Singer, that's the latest government campaign that's out there now, apparently. Shopper Crooner. Whatever you want to call it.
I've got 4 cases listed in there. I have my paper.
Again, excellent example. 4 cases at the Magistrates Court. This is incredible. This is awesome.
In here, they can't deal with the number of people that are protesting about this.
And that is part of the strategy. Because at one point, the prison system in this country was literally days from collapse. The Home Secretary was forced into handing out reduced sentences in certain categories of criminals to ease the pressure on the prison system. It's also perhaps the case that the court system is even more overwhelmed with the backlog that they face now. So the courts should do the right thing. Simply not address these cases because the fact that they've been arrested under the legislation that they have in the first place is beyond ridiculous. And deal with proper criminals and proper issues in our society. But perhaps even the Met Police is slightly waking up to this, as I alluded to earlier. We'll see from the Met Police and their statements to the rest of this clip.
So, where is justice in this? Our government is complicit in this genocide, absolutely complicit. The people who are campaigning against the...
From Holborn Police Station, we're in Section 12. I stand here today saying
Familiar voice. That's another friend of mine who's also has featured on the channel a couple of times. I'm not certain if I should say their name without express permission in this case. But sorry, I'd only seen the first part of this clip. I didn't know that this was going to actually happen. It sounds as though she's being arrested during this footage, and as always likes to be quite vocal about it, which is also excellent, so well done. If you are watching, it's a friend of the channel as well. It is, there she is. Yes. Preach. Yes. Well, check out some of our previous Defend Our Juries videos there if you want to see more of that sort of testimony as well. And got a lot of support as well at the last arrest that I filmed of hers in Trafalgar Square as well. Awesome, awesome. Friend of the channel there. Brilliant. So I'm just full of pride at the moment, seeing my fellow comrades down there representing. That's what I like to see. Jacqueline, good point. Yeah, the proper criminals, i.e. the ones who were responsible or complicit in the genocide, probably won't even spend a day in prison for it. They should find themselves in The Hague post-haste, if you ask me. And mention of the boycotts, divest and sanction movement there in the chat as well. Yeah, of course. That's still ongoing. Gotta hit them in the pocket as well. And it does work. More flags coming into the chat. Also, solidarity. Darren, you'd like, excuse me, you'd like to be a mind reader so that you could see what the old Bill were thinking. Well, they have actually released a statement, which we're going to see next. This is from Deputy Assistant Commissioner Andy Valentine, who led the operation at the Defend Our Juries protest, and he's been very clear in his statement. This operation was about enforcing the law, and the law is clear that everybody expressing support for prescribed organisations is a criminal offence. Around 200 officers were involved in today's policing operation. That means 200 officers taken off the capital streets where they could have been tackling the crimes that matter most to Londoners. Whilst these individuals were deliberately getting themselves arrested, officers across London have dealt with almost 6,000 calls, including high-risk missing children, serious sexual assaults and violent attacks. Those are the sort of crimes that the Home Office would rather ignore in favour of focusing on Defend Our Juries. High-risk missing children, serious sexual assaults and violent attacks. 6,000 calls. And they should be ashamed, you're quite right in chat, Idio. Certainly makes me ashamed to be British. Not just the fact that I know that they're arresting a lot of my friends as well. It's revolting. It's not just London police as well. I've been at Defend Our Juries protests where they've pulled in police from Wales, Yorkshire, which is a fair distance away from London itself, of course. Manchester as well, which has its own metropolitan police force, as does West Yorkshire, which I just mentioned there. And sticking with Palestine, but just a slightly different item. Coming up next.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
It's not really a Stop the Press article, but of course we always like to see how certain things are being reported. And we highlighted this, which was on the BBC homepage the other day. I think we put it out on the social media as well. So they spoke to this psychotic land thief about what's happening in the West Bank. And they decided to title the article, Israeli West Bank settler tells BBC attacks on Palestinians are justified as revenge. Now, I don't know if you've heard any of the interview that took place with this guy, this psycho. But essentially within the interview he said that one Israeli life was worth 1 million Palestinians, and gave a pretty Zionist, fascist, psychotic diatribe pertaining to their right to kill and illegally occupy an entire people. It was absolutely batshit crazy. But instead of titling the article as it probably should have been, the BBC go with essentially hinting that his beliefs and these attacks are somewhat justified, because a settler as well, not an occupant, illegal occupant, settler. That phrase, of course, cushions the reality, which is soaked in blood. These people have been violently kicked out of their homes and their homeland, and that's pure theft. That's not settling. That implies somewhat nomadic, chaotic existence, flitting about here and there, and then eventually staying in one place. Settling down, yes, quietly. Settle. It's very settled there in the West Bank, isn't it? Ridiculous from the BBC. But let's end the topic on a high, because the IDF showed up in Jerusalem. Excuse me, just need another drink. One sec. He's back. Got a pretty frosty reception when they went into an ultra-Orthodox, anti-Zionist neighbourhood in Jerusalem, and completely got run out of town. So let's enjoy this footage. That's a bit better to see, of course. real hardcore Jewish bloc, and of course right there in the heart of Jerusalem as well. The IDF, of course, think that they can walk around unabated. They think that they're the kings of the land that they've stolen, but the way that Zionism has appropriated Judaism is, of course, deeply offensive to those who practice Judaism properly and peacefully, including these ultra-Orthodox Jews in this neighbourhood that you can see, and there are definitely scores, if not hundreds, of them there. The entire neighbourhood showing out on force as soon as a small number of IDF soldiers dead showed the face in the neighbourhood. And would the BBC show footage of this, for example? Of course, this is just going to be swept under the carpet, similar footage as well. But no, we're going to be hearing such and such says instead. Went to the wrong neighbourhood, fascists.
הם גם שולטים בנצח? הם גם, כן.
I think the whole of Israel needs to wake up and see the reality. Peasants Revolt, you managed to join us live. Very good evening to you. Is Big Jerry here as well? I think see a shout out to Big Jerry. Yes, you are. Nice to see you, Big Jerry. Hope you're all good, big man. Well, talking about sticking it to Zionism and ridiculous AS tropes coming from the mainstream media, we're going to jump across to the United States now. Sorry about the low resolution on this clip. The audio is pretty clear, and it's more important about what the Mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, is saying here, as he explains to some journalists with particularly leading questions, if you want to put it that way. It's explaining why he chose to exclude certain judges now that he's the Mayor of New York. And whilst the journalist in question perhaps wanted it to seem like it was for one reason, the actual truth is a really good comeback, as much of a shock when Mamdani lays this one on the audience. If you've not seen this yet, here it is. Again, sorry about the low resolution just on the video.
There are no longer any Jewish people on your committee to appoint judges. You didn't apparently appoint any of the 18 who were Jewish, and some Jewish legal groups are asking you to address that, to reverse that. Is this a concern? Was it an oversight? And if nothing else, does this present an appearance problem for you at a time when some Jewish New Yorkers are feeling suspicious about your views?
So in my 6 months of being the mayor, I've had the privilege of appointing a dozen qualified judges from a range of backgrounds, including Jewish judges. And I want to be clear that any suggestion that the composition of the advisory committee was motivated by religion is false. And when it comes to, in that same letter, there was a point around Mr. Leventhal and his appointment as to why it was not considered. I want to be very clear that we decided not to move forward with his appointment because of the fact that he served on Ghislaine Maxwell's legal defense team and collected legal fees as such. And as much as possible, we thought it best to
there you go.
Avoid any association between the committee that would be appointing judges and the Epstein world, especially given how much of a loss of faith it has created for many New Yorkers and Americans generally in our legal and our political system.
Yeah, can you really trust someone who's defended Ghislaine Maxwell, of all people? And there are so many elements of the Epstein class still entwined into the American judicial and legal system, of course. It goes way beyond all the horrific acts that took place on that island. And Mamdani wants to root it out in New York. Well done. Really good comeback there. So it's like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to support Ghislaine Maxwell. So awesome. We'll continue to keep the mood light. As we just round off the last few articles and bits. Don't forget to hit thumbs up as well if you're just joining us on stream. But I hope this one will raise your spirits a bit at least. So Trump is about to do one of his patriotic speeches. Isn't America great? We're number one. All the rest of that BS. In front of a background of a crane to display the Made in America theme of the video of the speech. However, there is one problem with that, with the Made in America element. As on a particularly gusty day, all becomes revealed, as you'll see in this clip, because an American flag, which was deliberately put in a certain place to make a huge industrial crane look as though it was made in America, was in fact covering the truth. Let's take a look. So here's the scene, and there you... Oh no, what's happening? Oh shit! So, I mean, I don't know what... Just a bit of string or something holding the flag in place, not doing a particularly good job. So ZPMC, as you can probably tell from the Mandarin characters above, is in fact a Chinese company. Yes. the crane was made in China, and they've taken the effort to put the stars and stripes over every ZPMC logo. It's not working out, and they send a lone agent. There he goes. He's on a mission. Quick. The entire reputation of the United States of America rests in the hands of this one guy. And oh no, no, he has got it. He nearly dropped it. Come on. He's got it. Okay. So they send this hero up who definitely doesn't get any attention, but it looks as though CNN managed to pick up on that one. So yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, trying to take credit for everything. It looked for a moment he might lose the fight with the wind and let go of the flag, but no. Send the best we've got up there immediately. Don't look at the guy up there trying to put the flag back by himself. These cranes were made in America. There was more drama in that scene than Better Call Saul. Do you mean Bilderberg? Yeah, not actually seen that one. It's a spin-off, of course, of Breaking Bad, is it? Jacqueline, I wasn't aware of that one. Travelodge have changed their boxed breakfasts from containing a flapjack, cornflakes, pan au chocolat, semi-skimmed milk and water to containing those items, but they've swapped the water for Starbucks coffee. Oh dear. Starbucks, of course, one of the companies part of the BDS. So you can't get water, you have to have Starbucks coffee. Well, thanks for bringing that one to our attention. Okay, brothers and sisters, they, thems, and comrades alike. We've been at it for a couple of hours now, so we're getting towards the end of proceedings here. But remain as you are, and stay put, people. I'm preparing a raid as we speak. So I'll do that another shout out to all of our fantastic members on the channel. And thanks for your gifted on the stream as well this eve. Very generous, thank you for that solidarity this Socialist Sunday. We'll be jumping into Left of the Box when we finish up here. If you're not familiar with that channel already, do hit thumbs up on the stream, do subscribe, and show some support on Solidarity. And as far as things go, where streams are concerned on this channel, make sure you hit the notification button so you don't miss out on the Brews at 10 live streams. Sporadic live streams throughout the week. We normally do a regular PMQs, of course we're into parliamentary recess at the moment, but still streaming on a whole host of other matters nonetheless. A quick mention again, please do throw us some hype points on some recent video content if you're watching on a mobile device. We'll have some other new stuff for you through the week as well, including possibly, I'm sure we'll potentially garner excuse me, enough material for that second Count Binface Gallery memes video. And do check out the Buy Me a Coffee page as well, that's in the description of any content on the channel. Thank you very much for all your support. So the raid is locked in. Which means that's pretty much it for the stream.
And I'm getting quite near the end now of this analysis.
Yeah, so thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I've been your humble host, Lefty. This has been the Sunday live stream on My Left Eye. And I'll end as always by saying power to the people. Free Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down, don't watch the news, be the news. And My Left Eye will be seeing you soon. Have yourselves a very good evening, people. Good night. Solidarity.